this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Elvin Faye. And Elvin Faye has this question: what would I say to a person who attracts narcissistic or otherwise abusive people who degrade and trigger them on a regular basis? How would I advise that they avoid falling into that trap again? And from the way this question is phrased, I would assume that whoever the question is about, who may or may not be Elvin Faye, has experienced this repeatedly in life, that they've had not one abusive relationship, but many abusive relationships, and they fear having more, and they are hoping there is a metaphysical way to avoid this, and in fact there is. How do you avoid this? Well, you have to take the sign off of your forehead that says, "Abuse me," because there is one. And it is, for want of a better way to put it, energetic in nature, and this sort of person is highly attracted to it. It's called a karmic attachment. That attachment may come from past lives, it may come from this life, but it is what we talk about all the time when we do karma questions. You have an attachment that's pulling this to you. You have to break that attachment, and then you will no longer have it. And how do you break that attachment? Well, there are a number of different ways to approach it. Certainly things like divination and meditation can be helpful. Shadow work is imperative. Energetic work can also be beneficial. There are a lot of different ways to approach it. One of the most powerful, in my opinion, that I always recommend is soul retrieval. But there are many different forms of shadow work. But you need to go into why that is there, find where it is attached, and disattach it. You can do this, again, energetically by looking for it in the sense of an energetic attachment that you can cut, or you can go into it through meditation, looking for the concepts that it's related to, or you can, again, do it through soul retrieval or many other ways. But you need to find that and eliminate it, because what you are doing is you're drawing yourself back to it. And as long as that attachment is there, it will continue. The good news is you can break that attachment and move on from it. Another way to put this is that you must learn that lesson and move on from it. The first step toward that is being conscious of the fact that there is in fact an attachment, and that attachment represents a lesson. And as I say, there are many techniques to approach it, but it absolutely can be done. And I will tell you a little story that may be helpful. My father was that sort of person. I don't think that he was a narcissist per se, although he certainly had those behaviors, but he was a paranoid schizophrenic. My father was a madman, my mother was a saint. It was an interesting childhood. Looking back from this part of my life, I think this was a very good thing for me, because I certainly learned a great deal dealing with my father and watching my mother deal with my father. And I could not have handled many of the challenges I've faced in life if I had not had those formative experiences. Saying that, they were rather difficult experiences. And I had this same sort of attachment. Several of the first relationships I had were with very similar people. There were 3 different women that I became involved with, all of whom had the same behavior as my father had, and in each case it was not apparent when the relationship began. It was an attachment that was drawing these experiences back to me until I learned the lessons involved. About 15 years ago, I managed to learn it, but it took a lot to get there. It took a lot of meditation, it took a lot of soul retrieval, it took a lot of work in terms of analyzing how I felt, what my belief systems were, what my expectations were. And I found that my belief systems and my expectations basically were causing the problem, together with the karmic attachment itself. By working on all of these, I moved past it and did not have that problem again in the subsequent 15 years. And I've had other relationships since, which have been entirely different in character. So it absolutely can be done, but you need to be aware that this is what it is, and it is very much like having a sign on your forehead that says, "Abuse me." So these would be my suggestions. If you want more specific instructions for different kinds of shadow work, you can find them through all of my different books. There are a lot of different techniques that are given, and it isn't necessarily that one is better than another, although some of them are very good, such as soul retrieval, but there are many other ways to approach it too, and you need to find what works for you. You may also find that you need to do it more than once, and maybe even quite a bit, in order to finally dislodge that attachment. But it absolutely is a possibility. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from witchschool.com. Are you looking for the best in pagan and magical education? With more than 12,000 pages, witchschool.com is like having your own personal library with individual learning assistants to help you study. And Witchschool's Anyone, Anytime, Anywhere education system is available any place on Earth, anywhere you are and anytime you want it, as long as you have an internet connection. Witchschool's lifetime memberships are a great value. They really do last a lifetime. They've been there for years and they'll be there for years to come. So get your membership today at witchschool.com.